All right. Good day, Internet land and free peoples here on Mama Gaia. This is Joshua Tree with Butterfly Power in September of 2024 on a gorgeous fall day from the sunny coast of California. And have a very exciting stream today because we're going to be taking both a high level and a deep dive into the USDA REAP, Renewable Energy for America program, both the grant and the loan programs, and how this combination within REAP is an absolute game changer for farms, ranches that can be urban adjacent, or rural, but all businesses in rural communities have access to the REAP programs. So what we're going to be covering today is an overview of REAP, history, going to look at the REAP grant, eligibility, program guidelines, and what it can be utilized for, the very powerful combination of REAP grant with the ITC or investment tax credit, the bonuses available in 2024, and accelerated depreciation. And how these can come together to create an incredible incentive for all farms, ranches, and businesses to be able to come in and become ultra efficient and begin generating their power, eliminating their inflationary expenses of electricity and gas, and creating new sources of revenue. We're going to look at some project budget examples of small and large microgrids, some existing REAP grant projects and how they've been utilized, look at REAP loan financing, some loan projects, and then also how REAP and this stack of incentives can really help in one of the major mega trends we have in agriculture to be able to be a core solution to an absolute game changer that's happening within the United States agricultural market. So diving right in here, let's take a high level look at the incentives. And for any hybrid microgrid and energy storage system, for the capital investment, we can see a discount of 80 to 100%. And this is really incredible when we look at just the major stack of incentives that are available. So if we look at kind of the big three, which is the solar investment tax credit, or ITC, which is a federal tax credit. And just to highlight, we have tax deductions that take our income and reduce our income, which reduces the liability. But tax credits take the actual tax bill and reduce that. And then with the ITC, there's several different bonus credits that are available. There's 10% for a domestic content bonus and another 10% for both energy community and low-income community bonuses. So it can be anywhere from 60 to 70% if you stack all of those. And the energy community and low-income community bonuses are driven by a geographical map. So you just put in a project location similar to REAP. And we're going to take a deep dive into the whole ITC and federal tax credits in another stream. And then we bring in a 50% cash grant rebate of the REAP grant that comes at project completion with accelerated depreciation, which we can apply accelerated depreciation, which is 5 years on any of the hybrid microgrid and energy storage systems versus longer term installation of 10, 15, or even up to 20 and 30 years for other things. So when you combine those, not including the many more federal, state, and local programs, we can see an 80 to 100% reduction in total system cost. So taking a look here, Renewable Energy for America program purpose. REAP is to promote energy efficiency and renewable energy development for agricultural producers and small rural businesses through grants and loan guarantees. And we can look at these as two great programs within REAP, the loan side and the grant side. The loan side is also called the BNI, or business investment, which we'll take a deeper look at, and then the grant side. And these can be used in combination with each other. So looking at the history, REAP is one of the most successful programs that we have in the U.S. Began back in 2008, and you can see the projects that have been funded in solar, energy efficiency, biomass, wind, geothermal, and others as they've gone over the years up until 2022. And now as we look in 2022, something significant happened because under the Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA, REAP received a significant boost. Used to be you only get 40% of eligible project costs. Well, they bumped it to 50%. And now in two major categories, the first being renewable energy projects, which you can receive up to $1 million maximum grant. So a $2 million project size for any small and large solar, small and large wind, hydropower, biomass, biodiesel, ethanol, geothermal, anaerobic digesters, and solid fuels, and then, of course, tidal power. So any type of renewable energy, you can get 50% cash back on the generation system. And then REAP also has the second category, which is energy efficiency improvements. This has up to a $500,000 maximum grant. So $1 million invested inside of energy efficiency improvements, anything to make the farm, ranch, or rural business more efficient. And this is very powerful because I've had the blessing of living on and working with many farms and ranches, and every one of them needs to upgrade, roofs, or they need to upgrade their electrical system, or they're trying to expand their operations. And this category is very inclusive because it's got building envelope, lighting, insulation, HVAC, irrigation systems, water heating, power, refrigeration, drying, curing, fans, blowers, compressors, and pumps. Anything to make the project more efficient. So when you combine these two categories together, we can see up to $1.5 million for renewable energy generation, and then $500,000 for energy efficiency improvements. So what is eligibility for the REAP program? Well, any agricultural producer, rural or non-rural, has access to the REAP programs. Agricultural producer, those are at least 50% of the gross income coming from agricultural operations, and any small business or rural cooperative in eligible rural areas. And this is basically anyone with less than 50,000 people is REAP eligible. And we'll look at the place you can check REAP eligibility here in a moment. And to really highlight this, because it's one of the most common questions I get, you don't have to be a farm or ranch. If you're in an eligible rural area, any business, store, auto shop, mill, manufacturing, hotel has access to the REAP programs. And just to refine, what is an ag producer for those not in the rural areas? Its business must generate 50% of its gross annual income from being directly engaged in the production of agricultural products. Resellers of ag products that are produced by other companies are not considered directly engaged. And the formula is gross farm income divided by total income plus the total farm and business expenses. So just looking at the map of eligibility here, the red or non-rural areas and the yellow or rural. So the vast majority of the United States has access to the REAP programs. This is the USDA REAP eligibility website. You can get the link at butterflypower.org, or just put it in your favorite internet search engine, USDA REAP eligibility. Put in your address and it'll tell you if your project is eligible. And just to highlight many of the projects that I've either looked at or worked on, really encourage, even if you live near an urban area, to go and check it, because the map that goes around these areas, there are edges, and a lot of projects that are very close to an urban area are actually REAP eligible, even though you may be in the town or the city or the urban area. So what are eligible uses for REAP? So you can purchase an installation of equipment for the operation, except for tillage and ag equipment, and you can't buy vehicles with the grant. Any construction or project improvements, and you can see post-application here. What's really important with REAP is you need to come together with a plan, submit an application, and they will only award REAP grant for projects that have been pre-approved. So something you've already spent, you have to get it pre-approved. But it also includes energy audits, assessments, permit fees, feasibility studies, any of the required professional services except for the application preparation process, business plans, retrofitting. And this is available, the renewable energy portion, for new construction. Energy efficiency only applies to renovation projects, but renovation projects can also integrate the renewable energy. So REAP is a competitive program, and it goes by a scoring matrix. Every year they allot amount for REAP funding that's available, and then here's the scoring matrix. And you're awarded based on each application period by the most competitive projects. And in 2024, through the IRA, the amount of funding committed was over $1 billion. And the last time I checked, they utilized in by Q3 of 2024 about 300 million. So there's still a lot of funding available in REAP, but let's get into the scoring here. You get 5 points for environmental benefits if the project has a positive impact on resource conservation, public health, and or the environment. Energy generated, replaced, or saved is 25 points. So depending on how much as a percentage of energy generation replaced or saved, 15 points for a commitment of funds. The higher percentage of funding for the project that is committed, the more you get of the 15. And then previous grantees and borrowers is 15 points. So this is really critical that REAP is or programs that you can go back multiple times in the same project. So what happens is you're scored less if you get a REAP grant or loan in year one. If you go back year two, you won't get as much of this. But if you wait 2 years, you would be able to come back to REAP again and get access to the same amount of points. Are you an existing business is 5 points, and then simple payback is 15 points. The shorter the system's payback, the higher points you access, really incentivizing economically successful projects. And then the size of the request is 10 points. Less than 250,000 gets more points than above, all the way up to the maximum. And then the state director and administrator have priority points for veterans, those are socially or economically disadvantaged, and the type of technology and the geographic diversity and more. All right. So let's take a look at a small microgrid example where putting in $100,000 of capital investment to create a 35 kilowatt hour solar microgrid, and we're doing this building integrated, so you could create an awning or a covered pergola, or maybe you need to put a new roof on a building. 30 kilowatt hours of battery energy storage. Also going to do hybrid generation and storage, so using PVT thermal, which is hybrid electric and thermal. Solar panels that make electricity but also harness the abundance of heat that's coming. That heat then goes into TESS, thermal energy storage, with something like a heat pump. And now we have abundance of hot water that we can, of course, use for all the hot water uses and not use electricity, create steam, or we can use it in radiant heating applications, and they're going to put in some electric vehicle charging as well. So breaking this down in the first category of the building integrated microgrid, we can see those in the renewable energy generation and storage category, energy efficiency, then how they apply within both of the REAP grant categories, and then stacking the base level, ITC of 30%, low income or the energy community bonus of 10%, and domestic content bonus. And then as you go through, bring in the energy storage, thermal energy storage, put in a precision irrigation or solar panel cleaning system, upgrade the HVAC and heating for efficiency, and then do a renovation and a rehab, making the building or the project more efficient, and then put in some electric vehicle charging. So of the $100,000 invested, you could see a $52,000 REAP grant coming back, and the total tax credits when you put the entire stack of $40,000, and then the accelerated depreciation puts at a 93% reduction, so 7% of the total cost in year one, and then you get the remaining depreciation over the next 5 years, so it brings you to a 99% reduction by year 5. So very powerful example of what can happen with a smaller microgrid system. But let's look at a larger one. So $1 million invested, we're going to create a 500 kilowatt large facility, use 350 kilowatts of dual axis, put in 100 kilowatts of bifacial solar fence, do some building integrated PV, put in 350 kilowatt hours of energy storage, precision irrigation, solar panel cleaning system, hybrid thermal and TESS, thermal energy storage, and also put in facility and public EV charging station. Exact same categories coming across, and we can see year one from the $1 million invested, $440,000 coming back as a cash rebate, and then a total tax credit to the stack of $500,000 year one. That puts us at a 95% reduction, and then with the accelerated depreciation, you're actually going negative, which you can't do. But this would be 100% of $1 million system that would be covered inside of it. So it's a very powerful combination. And just to really stress, with this stack of what are really fairy tale incentives, it's such a great time for all farms, ranches, and rural businesses to be able to come in and have a real strong economic use case to eliminate their inflationary expenses of electricity, natural gas, propane, but also open up other revenue centers. Whether it be offering electric vehicle charging, or maybe there's tenants on site that can utilize the energy generated, or in some projects, the ability to export power through a power purchase agreement or a community solar project, which is happening in abundance all across the U.S. All right, let's look at some REAP project examples. This is a very exciting one that was just awarded in 2024, and it's Talbot Farms, which is a incredible many-dimension farm, but they also have a lot of orchards. So what they've chosen to do is they have a $1.5 million project where they're going to take an acre of a peach orchard and put in a 420 kilowatt agrivoltaic system. This is going to meet 101% of the facility consumption, and that amount, representative of 750,000 kilowatt hours annually, is enough to power 69 homes. So 1.5 million in, $750,000 REAP grant. And then looking at a non-agricultural, this is Independence Manor, which is a retirement community in New Jersey. They got $1 million grant, put on a 750 kilowatt hour system that will create 110% of their facility consumption. And we're able to get a REAP grant in combination with this that has a 1-year ROI on the system. So excellent example of utilizing REAP. And then here's the Bauman and Landy's turkey farm in Ohio, putting in a 750 kilowatt hour system. They've actually done this in multiple stages, going back to REAP multiple times, allowing them to save over $25,000 in total per year. And they're excited in exploring agrivoltaics in the next section. So let's look at the REAP loan guarantee. So this is the financing side, and it's meant to really cut the red tape and increase private investment in rural communities across the country by making it easier for lenders to access rural development loan programs. So this is a guarantee program. If you're familiar with like FHA, which is a home guarantee for residential, this is the exact same thing, but for agricultural and rural businesses. So the USDA has a loan program. They also have a direct lending program. But loan guarantees up to 75% of total eligible project cost can be combined with the 50% grant and loan guaranteeing funding up to 75% of total eligible project cost. You can see a minimum guarantee load is $5,000. So this is small projects all the way up to $25 million. And there is a spectrum of what they'll guarantee: 85% for loans $600,000 and less, 80% over 600 to 5 million, 70% over 5 million to 10 million, and then 60% up to over 10 million. So there's a lot of different programs in the loan, and I've just highlighted some of them here. We can see the guarantee for BNI, REAP, Communities Facility Program. So FSA is to allow new farms and ranches to come in and start, and also expanding existing operations. So it's very diverse and has extremely attractive rates and conditions. Highlighting the FSA farm ownership loan, which are direct loans up to a maximum of $600,000, or a commercial lender up to $2 million. I just pulled down rates off of the website for current FSA, and you can see for the direct, current interest rates are 5.25%. So in the current interest rate environment, these are lower cost interest rates, also creating another really powerful incentive for project financing to make them a reality. So let's look at some loan examples. This is Texas Green Star, where they used a REAP loan. It's a hydroponic farm creating organically certified leafy greens, where they got a $15 million USDA BNI loan. You can also see we'll come through this. Lily Ridge Apartments. This is went too far. Going back. This is Lily Ridge Apartments. This is multi-family housing. And what they did is they came through and they got a housing loan guarantee of $2.2 million to support this effort. And they also got some other funds that came through the Virginia Housing Authority. This is the Sharon Ridge multi-housing in Connecticut. It's a complex, and they ended up getting a $3.1 million grant and another $165,000 grant towards construction. So just a powerful example of using loan financing. And this is a large-scale solar project in South Carolina, where they used a $5.3 million REAP loan to purchase and install 14 megawatts of solar array. And that's enough to produce 25,000 megawatt hours a year. That's 25 gigawatt hours, supporting 2,300 homes in the area. It's also pretty cool because this project is integrating permeable fencing to allow animals to come in and forage, pollinator project, and they're also doing some tree conservation. So let's talk about one of the mega trends that's happening right now and how this combination of REAP and the incentives can really be supportive of what is happening in the United States. So this is home ownership that is breaking up into categories. And we can see that 61%, or 557 million acres, are operated by landowners. Then we have another 8%, or 70 million, that are rented from farm operators with operator landlords. And then we have another 31%, or 280 million acres, that are rented for non-operator landlords. So we can see owners who have farmers, and then non-farmers who have them. But in total, this is over 1 billion acres that we have in the U.S. And what's really incredible, one of the mega trends is the U.S. is going under this seismic shift in farmland ownership that will impact American agriculture for the next generations. According to AFT, seniors age 65 and older own more than 40% of all ag land in the United States. So projections are that there's going to be more than 370 million acres of farmland that's going to transition in the next 2 decades. And as someone who's grown up in farming communities, this is not a news story. Farms have been facing generational pressures of how to continue this wonderful tradition of tending the land and tending the crops and feeding our families and, being good stewards, as farming has become always challenging, but particularly with inflationary expenses, has become harder and harder to be able to be successful. So the integration of hybrid storage microgrids can eliminate inflationary expenses and allow for new revenue opportunities, but also really represent a generational gap to bring new and younger generations to the farm to help support all of our elders who have been tending the land and are looking for a way to either have someone come in and partner with them, potentially purchase and take it over, or create some multi-generational plan where family members can come back to the farm. So, hope you've enjoyed this today. Our goal at Butterfly Power is to create incredible value. You can go to butterflypower.org. We really believe in our focused on being a Web 3.0 organization. So we really believe in, value for value. And every like, comment, love, and share really is powerful digital value and the currency that exists in the internet economy. And so, we appreciate you. We are on multiple different platforms. You can find links. We're on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, YouTube, because one of the many things that's happening inside is we believe in being poly-platform and the ability to have multiple different media platforms that are also more decentralized, open source, value, free speech. So please watch us on your favorite, wherever you're meeting us, but also encourage you, go find us on another platform to help deepen our network and broaden the reach. And as much as subscribing to the channel or liking, loving, comment, or sharing, which we appreciate, hopefully that this strikes value, that you can do this, that we can do this, or if you know someone specifically who is in ag or farming, ranching, rural business, or wants to be into it, share it with someone specific. And just a great honor to be with you in the fall of 2024. This is Joshua Tree. We are the butterfly generation. It's time to rise and shine. Time to transform and fly.